support the Social Protection Bill of 2025. Honorable Speaker, this is a very, very important bill to me and even to us as members of Parliament. Social Protection Bill. This bill takes care of the vulnerable in the society. And this is where we have the government having these policies and programs which are designed to safeguard individuals against poverty, vulnerability, and even social exclusion throughout their lives. This is a bill, Honorable Speaker, that aims to prevent or mitigate risks and emergencies, and especially for the vulnerable groups, and it will promote social inclusion. Honorable Speaker, as the County MP Kericho, I want to put it clear that women reps or county MPs have so much responsibilities, and especially when it comes to the people we represent. Those are the people living with disability, women, elderly, the children, and even the youth who are also in the bracket of being vulnerable. And Honorable Speaker, with this knowledge, the allocation of NGAF is not enough to cater for the needs of these many vulnerable groups. I'm glad when we have this bill because it will help us so much. And especially when it comes to the basic needs. Honorable Speaker, I have been able to meet at least many of these vulnerable groups, and especially women, the widows, and even those having children living with disability. With the allocation of NGAF, I've been able to help quite a number. Over 20 have habitable houses. And Honorable Speaker, what we have is so much. The demand for good houses is so much. Not to forget clothing, and even especially during this season when it is raining. Those who don't have blankets are so many, Honorable Speaker. Those who don't have good shelter are so many. So with this social protection bill, I am sure the government, the national government, and to a large extent the county government will be able to help these vulnerable groups, of which here we have those living with disability, we have the elderly, we have the orphans. Honorable Speaker, I'm looking at the groups which that the board will be able to provide the social protection and to these particular groups, orphans or vulnerable children, the poor older members of the society, persons with disabilities, persons in extreme poverty, persons who are affected by shocks. So, Honorable Speaker, we have these categories, and even in Kericho County, we have so many of these, not forgetting the parents who have these vulnerable children. They cannot work, they cannot even provide for these vulnerable children, the PWDs and even others. So this is a very, very important bill for us, and I support saying that this bill will also lift a burden on the members of the society, on the members of the church. This will also lift a burden on the leaders, just like what my other colleagues have said, that our members of Parliament are expected to provide for every need, be it a personal need, maybe people traveling, people have no food, people have no clothing, not to forget the school fees for the vulnerable children. Some of them have dropped out of school because of lack of fees. So when we come in, when we have the NGCDF and NGAF, at least we'll be able to have them in school. But however, there are other needs that NGCDF and GAF may not provide, and this is where this social protection bill comes in. So when we have this assistance in form of cash transfer, transfer in kind, we also have social care services, that is according to the bill, where we also have rehabilitation services to these very needy persons. Honorable Speaker, in our societies, we also have not only the youth, those people who have gone through issues of drugs, issues of alcohol, they need services, at least they need rehabilitation, and this is where this bill comes in. And even psychological support is what they also require, Honorable Speaker. So in this, I say that this bill is very, very important, Honorable Speaker. And some of our children go to school without food. This is now where a feeding program comes in schools and even in those centers or in rehabilitation centers. Some of our children will only have one meal in a day, and the meal is the meal that is in school. So with this bill, I am sure a feeding program will also be upheld, it will be promoted. And Honorable Speaker, some of these elderly people need home-based care. And say for us, as a Kenyan, an African, and for that matter from my community, we are not these people who take our elderly persons to the homes. To the elderly homes. We take care of them at home. But taking care of them by those people who don't also have will be a challenge. So even with this cash transfer of 2,000, it is not enough for these elderly people. But when we have this bill, I am sure other factors considered, they will have more of this money and they will have more of the resources that they require, and even transfer in kind. And we'll be able to take care of them, or they'll be taken care of them in their homes. Honorable Speaker, apart from that, when you talk of support, the elderly people may not only need cash, may not only need kind transfers and all that, they also need psychological support. That is when we'll have people around them. We still need them at least to be able to use the wisdom they have. This is now where this bill also comes in very, very important. Honorable Speaker, looking at the work of the county, and we have in this bill that in the administration and provision of social protection, the county government will have to implement national government policies on social protection through county-specific legislation and strategies. And they'll also be able to allocate resources for social protection intervention at the county levels. Not to forget that the registry, they will have to develop a registry for social protection. This is now when we'll be able to know how many in every county, how many of these categories do we have, and how many will be assisted or will actually benefit from this. And without this bill, Honorable Speaker, the county government may not be able to allocate the resources that is required. But as we have this bill, the county government, in collaboration with the national government, will be able to reach even with those ones in the deepest parts of our counties, Honorable Speaker. And especially this time, Honorable Speaker, some of our elderly people and even the vulnerable may not be able to have food. Even with the subsidized fertilizers, some of them may not be able to plant. But with the cash transfer and with this one in kind, at least the county government will be able to identify them, provide the necessary resources for them. Some of them have very small piece of land, but food security being very, very important, Honorable Speaker, the county governments can provide as it is required. So to me, Honorable Speaker, I support this particular bill, and I know it will lift a burden as we try as much as we can to help the most vulnerable members of the society. And once more, Honorable Speaker, I support the bill. Thank you very much.
Well said. The member for Marsabit.